I am not a fan of bugs. My philosophy about bugs is that if they will just let me have the indoors, I will leave the whole outdoors to them. The thought of squishing a bug makes me shudder. It is not because I am a bug pacifist. I don't mind if other people kill the bugs in my house. I just don't want to be the one who has to get close enough to do it myself. So when I read through the book of Joel in the Bible and hear about the plague of locusts that he lived through, I am tempted to skip to the next minor prophet who might be more fun. I try to imagine billions of huge grasshoppers swarming in a black cloud as far as I can see in any direction, bumping into me, getting in my hair, crawling on my plates, jumping in my sheets, and I long for Valium. Joel's story is disgusting for someone like me with a bug phobia, but a swarm of locusts is much worse than revolting. Imagine that the grasshoppers have eaten everything you were counting on for food over the coming year, and now you, your children, and your neighbors will starve, and many will die because there is no food left anywhere. A plague of locusts is not inconvenient or annoying, it is life or death. Joel describes it this way, saying, "A nation has invaded my land, a mighty army without number. It has the teeth of a lion, the fangs of a lioness." The army of bugs that invaded the world in 2020 are microscopic, but mighty without number. And they have upended our lives. Some of us have lost our livelihoods and are even going hungry or homeless. Many of us have lost people we love. Most of us feel lonely and exhausted. This experience has taken a toll on our souls as well as our lifestyles. Joel sums it up by saying, "Surely the people's joy is withered away." After a plague, whether of locusts or COVID, people physically, emotionally, and spiritually hurt. But Joel has some curious advice for those suffering through a plague. In chapter 1, verse 14, Joel says, "Sanctify a fast, cry and lament to God." This is curious advice, because what does it mean to fast when there is nothing left to eat? What does it mean to cry as an act of worship when you are already crying every day? How can you participate in Lent 2021 when the whole of 2020 seemed like one long, endless Lent? Joel's direction, "Sanctify a fast," means dedicate your fasting to God so that it becomes sacred, so it becomes a holy thing. Is it possible to make something holy that was imposed on you against your will? Joel seems to think so. He seems to think it is not only possible, but spiritually important. To sanctify a fast would mean to dedicate your hunger to God and let that dedication turn your pain and loss into something sacred. Every single person in the country has lost something this year. It has been hard no matter who you are. For some, it has been worse than hard. It has been tragic or traumatic. It is important not to deny this reality. Yet perhaps there is even more to reality than what we initially see and experience. Perhaps, if we will consider whether we have received anything of value in the midst of our trouble and pain, It can help us see the reality that lies beyond the horizon of those microscopic bugs. I wonder if your experience this past year may have brought a new sense of who or what really matters. Or perhaps you experienced something deeper about God's love and presence. Perhaps you find yourself living more in the present moment or noticing the beauty of nature. Perhaps there is some small insight or change that you value. These small gifts in the midst of pain do not negate the trouble and sorrow, but they point us toward a sacred reality that is bigger than any dark horizon filled with frightening bugs. You are not alone. We are crying together with you, even though we must stand 6 feet apart. But most of all, remember that God in Jesus carefully gathers up your pain and mine, pain that is sacred to Him, and He sanctifies that pain to us. Whatever small gift you have received this year, let it remind you that He is a sanctifying God. Carry that sacred reality with you into the future. May it increase your wisdom, your strength, and your courage. And may you have more love for God and your neighbors than ever before. Sanctify a fast.